I was actually pretty fascinated by a young piano prodigy at the way he just allowed the music to flow through him, and I kind of figured he must have had many, many lifetimes of preparation for his role in this lifetime. But I finally decided to go to God and ask, or somebody in the circle, and ask what was going on there. And so this is the response that I got. Road trip plan today to talk to you because we all want to see what you see because it's pretty clear that you are fascinated by this kid who is the trust on a long, long history of musical composers and pianists because he loves to renew his energy in every lifetime on being a composer, you see. His name is Wolfgang Mozart, and he is the great great grandson of the man you knew back in Paris long ago, in that lifetime. However, he is reincarnated in the identity of a young boy who is such a prodigy that nobody can understand how he can play that way because he doesn't even need to rely on music, you see. He's just got an ear that can hear a song played and he can pick it up as if it was a simple trust on being free of anxiety. So he is the current version of the great composer that was known as Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And his mother has a photograph, you see, that she took when he was just a baby. And he was listening to his sister play the piano as if it was the biggest surprise he ever heard because he could not believe that she was playing something that he had composed himself when he was young and that had come down through the centuries to meet his ears as he was laying in that crib, you see. So he demonstrated his proficiency from the time he was an infant. And it is true that he is trusting on his own capacity to hear without attempting to translate it into a earthbound point of view. He just lets his fingers work because he doesn't have to try to do it the way they tell him to. He just does it his own way. And he doesn't have to work at it because to him it's all play. To him, it is all just a joy because he can hear the music and he just lets it flow through his fingers, you see. And this is the reality of someone who has taken the time to develop through many, many lifetimes. And this will allow him to become a virtuoso in his particular capacity to integrate his reality into the world he sees, because he will see it as a boy and a young man who grew up without even having to worry about it, because it was always at his fingertips. It was always at his fingertips. He always knew what he had to do. And for him, of course, there was some pre-birth planning to get him into the right family that would nurture his ability. And so he doesn't have to even break his stride because he can reside among the angels, you see. He just resides among the angels because the angels talk to him. This is another way of saying that he has no limits on what he can do because he doesn't trust on the way they do it on earth, you see. He trusts on his own capacity because it is so well developed in him that he doesn't even have to think about it. He doesn't even have to think about it. It's just there. It's just there. And this is the way that we wear our hair when we devote our lifetimes to trying to be the one who can fathom the depths of a particular talent or skill, whatever you want to call it, because when we focus on something to that degree, we bypass the ones who cannot hear or see, the angels, you see. They are too limited in their point of view. They're just too limited in their point of view. And so, occasionally we'll see someone who has given their all to their trust on the call to exceed the limits of the ones who say, we can't do that today. We can't do that today. That's not possible today. What he is doing is blowing everyone away because he's showing them that he doesn't play their way. And that is the way that it comes to be, that someone will be born into this reality who has a capacity for that saturated energy that is so saturated with their ability to comprehend a certain reality that nobody else can see or feel or hear. It's just all around them. And it's so natural to them that they don't even have to think about it, you see? And so, because his family nurtured him and allowed him to expand his capacity without trying to dissuade him, you see, he has broken record after record that was set on what a child could do. He's just broken all the records, you see? because he is a trust on his own reality. And this is the nature of the ones who can be restored to an old identity when they come to earth, where they will say, hey, I've done this before, I've done this before, I've done this before. It is so familiar to me. I don't even have to think about it, you see. It's so familiar to me. And this is a good lesson for everyone who hears this, who thinks that it is impossible for someone to do what this young boy has done, because it is not impossible. You see, it is only impossible to the ones who have not done what he has done. It's only impossible to the ones who have not chosen to dedicate their lives to a certain trust on God energy, that if they just follow their hearts, they will be taken into the realm of the angels, you see, because the realm of the angels are the ones who can fly through the sky and then come back to earth, you see, because they did unearth a trust on the ability to live in their own reality and not the one that was crammed down their throat. And so they will never be persuaded, you see, by the ones who cannot trust on their gift, you see, because their gift is to give back to God what God gives to them. And so when that young boy plays his music, it's a gift to God, you see, because he is so in love with the sound that comes from that piano that he cannot cause enough love to flow through his fingers and through his toes, because he knows that he is one with his world, you see. He's one with his world, and his world is one with him. And this is the trust on the ability of every one of us to find a specialty, you might say, where we feel so lucky to have discovered something that carries us forward into our own beautiful world, you see. And so, if you listen to this and you hear it, you can say, today, I am the trust on my own reality. I'm the trust on my own reality, no matter what others may say. If I trust on being a grocery checkout employee of some big business, I will trust on that if it speaks to me, because God is guiding me. God is guiding me. But if it does not speak to me, if it speaks to me to pick up a paintbrush and paint the scenery, then I will do that, because God is leading me. God is leading me. God is helping me to come to a new understanding of my reality. Because my reality, you see, is where I will be when I am no longer in the past, you see. I'm no longer in the past because God has guided me into a new future, you see. And so if you hear these words that are spoken to you through the one you knew as Stephanie, you can say, well, that was the way it was yesterday, because we've already moved on from yesterday. But what will it be in the future, you see? What will it be in the future? What will a store of energy be when it is released? Will my store of energy be a trust on God, you see? Or will it be a trust on a busted reality where I just look at the pieces and say, hey, I never could figure it out today. I never could figure it out today. You don't have to be a prodigy, you see, people. You don't have to be a prodigy. You just have to be someone who can trust on me. Trust on me to guide you. And don't worry, because if you're happy doing what you're doing, you're happy doing what you're doing. And if you just do what you do because it makes you happy, eventually you will find that you are able to transcend the limitations of the world, of those who cannot understand you. You will just transcend it, and you will have your own reality where you can be so happy because you can pursue your own trust on the way you grew and on the things that are meaningful to you. And so, if you trust on me, for I am God, you see, then you will trust on being free of anxiety. You'll just be free of anxiety. Don't think you have to be the great musician like this boy unless it speaks to you and you say, hey, I want to play the piano too because it looks like fun. And then you play it because it looks like fun. If you understand this, you will know that there are many different versions of the ones who trust on me and who come from a long history of being my friend, you see. And if I give them a piano, they will say, hooray, hooray, thank you for this gift today. And they will give back to me the music I long to hear. So, if you give to your child a piano and they say, I wanted a guitar, you see, then maybe you should give the piano back and get a guitar for them because they know who they want to be. If you give a child a piano and they say, I wanted some paintbrushes, and could you get me some water paints, you see, then they are letting you know what they really want because they know in their soul what they need. And though they may be happy that you thought of them and gave them a piano, it is not what speaks to their soul, you see. So help them to uncover their own lovely reality and let them discover how much fun it can be when they reveal to humanity the trust on a new point of view. Because when you look at that boy, you say, I'm getting a new point of view, God. That, as far as I know, there's no humanly possibility that he could do that he could play like that he could compose those songs when he's only 6 years old or 5 years old, that he could sit down with an orchestra of grown-ups who are playing from their sheet music and he could sit at that piano and never have to turn a page because he is playing with the angels, you see. He is playing with the angels and not with the orchestra. He's not playing with the grown-ups, he's playing with the angels. And that is the trust on his own connection to me. So find your own connection to me, people. Find your own connection. Because you can't all be Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, you see? You just can't. And you can't all be my other children who have trusted on me. You can't be Stephanie. And you can't talk to me the way she does because you're not her, you see? You're not the one who has talked to me lifetime after lifetime after lifetime and said, I love you, you know, and I love to talk to you. And I say, I love you too, and I love to talk to you. And you can't be the one who picks up a paintbrush and begins to create masterpieces at the age of 2. You just can't unless you are the one who did trust on their paintbrushes in many lives gone by, and they cry if they can't do what they want to do. And they sigh and they begin to die, you see, because they love to give back to me a present with what I give to them. If you give them a piano and they give back to you beautiful music, then you know that you have found your own role. Because your own role is to be the one who will help others to find their own true identity. So do what you love, do what you love, and not what you think will bring you a lot of acclaim or fame, or that will allow you to escape from having to do what they tell you to. Just find what makes you happy, you see. Just find what makes you happy and do that. If all of you could just find what makes you happy, then you would begin to see that the world opens its arms to you. Do what you do and don't worry, because every child prodigy has been a man or woman who gave their lives to the study of what they loved. They just gave their lives to the study of what they loved. And some of them may have different talents, you see. You could be very talented from birth in the way that you handle that paintbrush, you see. And you might also be very talented in the way that you tap dance on the stage. Or you might be very talented in the way that you build a business, you see. You might be very talented in the way that you play a given sport or any sport at all. These are talents that you have created through many lifetimes, and they will be with you until eternity. They will be with you through every lifetime, you see, which doesn't mean you might not discover a new love, because you just might. However, don't think that you can suddenly be the same quality of experience and capacity as the ones who lifetime after lifetime, have come to me and said, God, this is what I'd really like to do. And I said, that's what I'd like you to do too. Let's see if we can find a way to get you in a situation where you can do it. So follow your bliss, my children. Follow your bliss. And if you think that I am a figment of your imagination, then that's fine. Because your imagination is very powerful, you see? And all those figments will become the segments of your trust on me. Little by little, you begin to trust that I am really here. Little by little, you begin to trust that Stephanie can really hear me, because this is her capacity that has been developed over many, many lifetimes, you see. And you may have a different capacity, which doesn't mean that any of them are better or worse, because you see, if you come to me and you say, I love you, God, what have you got for me? I will always help you to be part of the symphony. I will always help you to be one who will resonate with the ones that they love, you see. Because when you love me, and you love to please me, and I love to please you, I love to give to you the ones who will love you too, and who you will love. Because you will say, wow, I dig what you do today. And they will say to you, well, I dig what you do today. It's not what I do, but I can see that the angels play with you. And that's just the way it is, my dears. That's just the way it is. It's just the way